The stars had always been silent watchers over Earth, indifferent to the petty squabbles of one small blue planet. But that silence shattered the moment the Draconian Armada slipped into orbit. The fleet was immense. 47 colossal warships, each one a floating fortress of jagged black armor and blinking energy pylons. From the surface, they looked like dark monoliths hanging in the sky, blotting out stars and casting shadows over the oceans. A silent menace, an unspoken declaration of power. Deep inside the bridge of the flagship Dominion's fist, Overlord, Khazar loomed over a holographic display of Earth, his serpentine eyes narrowing. The image shimmered. Continents, cities, oceans, glowing faintly with electrical signals and radio chatter. He was disgusted. Primitive. Humanity, he hissed. A species no more advanced than cave dwellers, wielding fire but lacking the wisdom of the stars. His voice echoed through the chamber, met by a chorus of guttural snorts from his generals. The Draconian Empire had conquered countless worlds, civilizations with faster-than-light travel, plasma weapons, and neural interfaces. Earth was an afterthought, a target to be cleansed swiftly, a colony to be folded into the Empire's endless march. Outside the ship's reinforced viewport, the blue planet spun peacefully beneath a thin veil of clouds. Earth's inhabitants were oblivious, bickering nations scrambling to understand the strange signals flooding their satellites, the sudden bursts of electromagnetic interference disrupting their communications. At a makeshift observatory in New Mexico, Dr. Elena Vargas stared through a telescope, the sky above her shimmering with strange iridescent lights. "This isn't a natural phenomenon," she whispered, breath fogging the cold glass. Her fingers trembled as she adjusted the scope to track one of the massive objects moving steadily against the stars. Back in orbit, the Draconian fleet began to deploy smaller scout drones, sweeping across the planet's surface, analyzing, cataloging. The scanners detected no warp engines, no energy shields, no weapons of mass destruction. Just rusting satellites, primitive factories, and cities glowing with the faint pulse of electrical grids. "Send the message," Khazar commanded. "They will surrender. They will kneel." His officers activated the Universal Translator probe, broadcasting a chilling ultimatum to every government on Earth in the known languages and dialects, synthesized with perfect clarity. "Humans of Earth, your species is primitive and dangerous only by your stubbornness. Cease all resistance and submit to the Draconian Empire. Accept our protection or be destroyed." On Earth, the message spread like wildfire. Governments convened emergency sessions. Social media exploded with videos and speculation. Panic mixed with disbelief. Were these visitors hostile? Could Earth fight back? In the White House Situation Room, President Angela Reyes listened intently as her advisors debated. The Defense Secretary argued for diplomatic response. The Joint Chiefs of Staff pushed for readiness. "They have us outgunned," one general warned. "We don't have their tech." But General Ava Malik leaned forward, her face stern beneath the harsh fluorescent lights. "We don't have their technology, but we have something they don't understand. Ingenuity born from survival. This isn't the first time humanity has faced extinction. We adapt. We fight." Malik's voice carried a weight forged in decades of clandestine projects and unpublicized conflicts. In bunkers beneath the surface, humanity had prepared for this moment. Even if the world hadn't. There was no starship fleet, no plasma cannons waiting to be unleashed. But there was Protocol Typhon. A multi-layered defense strategy blending cyber warfare, guerrilla tactics, and experimental weaponry. Meanwhile, civilians across the globe watched the skies. Children pointed upward in wonder and fear. Pilots in fighter jets scrambled to intercept unidentified objects, only to be grounded by interference, and warnings from satellites suddenly offline. The world held its breath. As the 48-hour deadline approached, Khazar grew impatient. "These humans still cling to their arrogance," he growled. "Prepare the bombardment. Let them feel the fury of the Draconian Empire." But unknown to the Draconians, the planet was already fighting back. In remote outposts, Scientists like Elena worked frantically to decode alien transmissions, while hackers in dimly lit rooms breached Draconian communication channels, planting seeds of confusion. On the final day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a burst of energy pulsed through the Draconian scanners. Several orbiters flickered, lights dimmed, and one massive ship twitched uncontrollably before slamming into the ocean with a deafening roar. The Armada hesitated. Khazar's smirk vanished. Something on Earth was different. Something they had not anticipated. Humanity was no primitive. The world was on edge. News of the Draconian ultimatum had spread like wildfire, igniting a storm of fear, anger, and disbelief across every continent. Governments scrambled, international alliances frayed under pressure, and ordinary citizens debated whether to surrender or resist. In the cavernous White House Situation Room, President Angela Reyes sat with her closest advisors, their faces grim but resolute. The tension in the air was thick enough to choke on. 48 hours until their deadline. Defense Secretary Collins said, voice low and measured. They've got us outmatched in every category. Their warships alone could level entire cities in minutes. General Ava Malik leaned forward, her sharp eyes locked on the glowing tactical display. We don't have to match their technology. Not exactly. We've been preparing for this for years. Protocol Typhon isn't just a plan. It's a promise that humanity will fight back. What exactly is Protocol Typhon? President Reyes asked, voice steady but curious. Malik exchanged a glance with her deputies before answering. A covert defense initiative. We combined the brightest minds from across the globe to develop layered strategies, cyber warfare, electromagnetic pulses, railgun artillery, and experimental exoskeletons. Not a starship fleet, but a way to turn their technological advantage against them. Sounds like hope dressed up as desperation, Collins muttered. Hope dressed as survival, Malik corrected. If the Draconians expect an easy conquest, they're going to be very wrong. Thousands of miles away in the underground, research labs beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Elena Vargas and her team worked feverishly. The crash of the Draconian ship in the Mojave had been a gold mine of alien technology, and scientists scrambled to reverse engineer it. We've isolated their power cores and communication modules, Elena explained to her team, eyes gleaming with determination. If we can crack their encryption and disrupt their targeting systems, we can level the playing field. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, analyzing complex alien schematics. Outside, automated sentries patrolled the desert, while satellites monitored the skies for Draconian activity. Across the globe, hackers and cyber warriors joined the fight in their own way. In dimly lit basements and hidden rooms, groups of coders breached Draconian communication networks, planting Trojan viruses designed to confuse and sabotage. One hacker, known only by his handle Phantom Byte, uploaded a virus that scrambled enemy targeting data, causing chaos aboard the flagship Dominion's Fist. Screens flickered, alarms blared. The Draconians were startled by an enemy who fought back not with brute force but with cunning. On the day of the deadline, the Draconian fleet's ominous shadow loomed over Earth. From their command bridge, Overlord Khazar watched with growing frustration as reports flooded in. Orbital drones disabled, communication lines jammed, several warships malfunctioning inexplicably. Prepare for orbital bombardment, Khazar ordered, his voice low but fierce. Show these humans the true cost of defiance. Back on Earth, radar operators tracked the incoming bombardment waves, streams of kinetic projectiles and plasma bursts aimed at major cities. But as the first salvo approached, something unexpected happened. A blinding pulse of electromagnetic energy surged from Earth's surface, a shield of interference born from the hidden railgun arrays and the secret quantum jammers installed in remote mountain ranges. The incoming plasma bolts scattered, their precision lost. In the skies above Siberia, a squadron of aging fighter jets, retrofitted with experimental exoskeletons and enhanced targeting systems, scrambled into action. Pilots strapped into their suits felt a surge of adrenaline and fear. Eyes open, Captain Mira Chen commanded her squadron, as they ascended through the thickening clouds. We're humanity's thin line between submission and survival. As the jets neared the Draconian vessels, ground-based railguns opened fire, their tungsten slugs streaking through the atmosphere with deadly speed. Several smaller orbiters shuddered as the rounds pierced their hulls, forcing them to break formation. But the Draconians were not easily defeated. Overlord Khazar's fury grew. "They used trickery," he snarled. "But it will not save them." He activated the fleet's gravity lances, massive beams of focused gravity that could crush cities in moments. The beams locked onto human military installations, causing the earth to tremble and buildings to crumble. Yet even as devastation spread, humanity's resolve hardened. Civilians fled to shelters, emergency services coordinated evacuation efforts, and resistance cells prepared for the next phase. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Earth's surface, General Malik coordinated the response. "We hold them off here and we strike back," she said through the comlink. "Our hackers are inside their networks and our strike teams are ready to board any ship we can." In a hidden docking bay, modified suborbital craft powered up. Elite soldiers donned advanced exosuits, sleek armored frames that amplified strength and agility. They were humanity's vanguard, humanity's ghost in the machines. As night fell, Khazar's confidence faltered. Several ships were disabled. Morale was fraying among his officers. His voice was harsher now, orders sharper. "They called us gods of war," he muttered. "But these humans, they fight like cornered beasts." And somewhere on the surface the world waited, watching, hoping, for survival, for victory, for a sign that Earth was more than just a primitive backwater, because the Draconian Armada was still in orbit. And the war had only just begun. The silence before battle was shattered by a pulse, a signal sent not from the vast weaponry of the Draconian Armada, but from Earth's hidden laboratories and war rooms. It was a signal crafted in secrecy, forged by desperation and the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to be crushed. At E001 hours, just 1 minute after the Draconian ultimatum expired, the skies over Earth flared with a sudden burst of electromagnetic energy. Across the globe, satellites blinked out, navigation systems scrambled, and orbital sensors went dark. From the flagship Dominion's Fist to the smallest support cruiser, the Draconian fleet was plunged into confusion. In a remote underground base in Alaska, General Ava Malik watched the live feed with unwavering focus. "This is it," she said. "Protocol Typhon is underway. Far above the Earth's surface, in the swirling cold vacuum of orbit, the first salvo of humanity's response roared to life. Railguns hidden beneath the ice of Siberia and deep in the deserts of Patagonia launched tungsten slugs at hypersonic speeds, punching through the layers of atmosphere and slamming into Draconian hulls. The impact tore gaping holes in 3 cruisers, and one smaller vessel lost control, spinning helplessly before being caught by Earth's gravity and pulled toward the Mojave Desert, crashing with a thunderous explosion that lit the night sky. Kadzim, Draconians scrambled. "Counterattack!" barked Overlord Khazar, but their systems were failing. Meanwhile, across the globe, cyber command centers buzzed with activity. Teams of elite hackers, human and alien defectors, flooded Draconian. Networks with Trojan viruses disguised as system updates. Screens aboard the flagship flickered. Targeting grids twitched uncontrollably. "Commander, our weapons targeting is compromised," a Draconian officer shouted. "We're blind." In the chaos, small teams of specially trained soldiers launched from suborbital pods, streaking upward through the thin atmosphere toward the orbiting warships. Clad in experimental exosuits built from scavenged technology and human ingenuity, these soldiers were ghosts in the void, silent, fast, deadly. Inside one of the crippled Draconian cruisers, Sergeant Lewis led his squad through twisting corridors, navigating around sparks and emergency alarms. Their mission: plant destabilizing charges in the gravity compensators that kept the ship aloft. "This is for Earth," Lewis whispered as they worked, fingers steady despite the adrenaline. Q. Charges detonated with a violent shudder. The cruiser jerked and pitched, its orbit destabilizing. Lewis and his team barely escaped in a stolen shuttle before the ship spiraled out of control. Back on the Dominion's fist, Overlord Khazar's fury grew, his pride wounded deeper than any physical injury. "They fight like nothing we have seen," he snarled. "But their technology is crude, their weapons laughable." Yet each attack drained the fleet's resources. Shields flickered, systems overheated, communication lines broke down. Khazar's officers pleaded for retreat, but to retreat now was unthinkable. He would lose face, lose honor. "No, we press on, crush their spirit." On Earth, the people watched in disbelief and rising hope. News. Reports showed videos of the crashed Draconian vessel, its broken hull smoking in the desert. Across social media, memes and slogans spread, "We are not primitive. Humanity fights. The storm has begun." Yet beneath the cheers lay a harsh truth. This was only the beginning. Earth's defenses had bought time, but the Draconians still controlled the skies. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, scientists rushed to analyze alien tech scavenged from the crash site. Dr. Elena Vargas stared at the humming core of a Draconian power unit. "If we can reverse engineer this," she said, voice tight with determination, "we could create energy shields, weapons even they cannot predict." Her assistant looked at her with awe. "You really think we can win?" Elena's eyes burned with fierce hope. "We have to. For Earth. For humanity." The night air crackled as the remnants of the Draconian fleet regrouped. Khazar barked orders, rallying his commanders to patch the holes in their defenses. But the damage was done. The humans had struck first, and hard. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was not a primitive backwater to be crushed without consequence. And they had awakened something in the Draconians, a grudging respect, and a simmering fear. But neither side realized the full consequences yet. In the depths of the shattered cruiser drifting over the Mojave, hidden from all sensors, an unknown signal pulsed, a faint, rhythmic beat, unlike any communication known. To Draconians or humans, something ancient, something watching, something waiting. The war for Earth had only just begun. The Dominion's fist was no longer the invincible fortress it had once been. Systems flickered erratically, alarms echoed through its steel corridors, and chaos simmered beneath the rigid discipline of its Draconian crew. Yet Overlord Khazar's eyes burned with a fierce determination. He would not let this fleet be dismantled by primitive humans. Deep inside the crippled cruiser Iron Talon, the unexpected war was taking on a new shape. Earth's elite strike, teams, clad in sleek exoskeleton suits forged from reverse-engineered Draconian tech and human innovation, were infiltrating the enemy from within. "Ghost Protocol is active," Sergeant Lewis announced, voice crackling through comm links. "We move like shadows, hit fast, hit hard, vanish before they even know what's happened." The exosuited soldiers were a new breed, part guerrilla fighters, part tech wizards, armed with energy disruptors, EMP grenades, and adaptive camouflage that bent light around their forms. Their mission was clear: sabotage the Draconian fleet's core systems, cripple their weapons, and sow panic in the enemy's ranks. Lewis led a team aboard the Iron Talon's lower decks, navigating twisting maintenance tunnels coated with unfamiliar alien alloys. Every shadow could hide a biomechanical guard, every corner a trap. But the humans pressed on with cold precision. "Security grids offline," Lewis reported after a successful hack. "Moving to the reactor core." In the control room, Overlord Khazar's fury grew as reports poured in of multiple sabotage incidents, ships losing power, weapon systems failing mid-battle, sensor arrays going dark without explanation. "This is impossible," he growled. "How can these primitives infiltrate our fleet?" His chief of intelligence, a lean Draconian named Zarkesh, approached cautiously. "They are ghosts, my lord. Experts in asymmetrical warfare. Their attacks are coordinated, precise. They know our systems better than we do now." Khazar slammed a clawed fist on the console. Then find them, crush them. Meanwhile, the strike teams moved like phantoms. One group descended through an airlock of the cruiser Black Fang, planting electromagnetic pulse devices in the engine bays. When the EMP detonated, the ship shuddered violently, systems flickering and grinding to a halt. Crew alarms screamed in confusion as human operatives slipped away in stolen escape pods. Another squad hacked into the Iron Talon's weapon control mainframe, triggering false targeting alerts that sent turrets firing wildly into empty space. On Earth, General Ava Malik coordinated the strikes from a mobile command center in the Rocky Mountains. Her eyes were sharp behind a wall of holoscreens, tracking every successful sabotage and analyzing enemy responses. "We're not just fighting their weapons," Malik said, voice steady but urgent. "We're fighting their arrogance. They thought we'd run, hide, or beg. Instead, we attack in ways they never imagined." Beside her, Dr. Elena Vargas worked feverishly, analyzing data from the captured Draconian tech. Their systems are advanced but rigid. Once you understand the architecture, you can exploit their blind spots. Malik nodded. "Our soldiers on orbit are not just warriors. They're hackers, saboteurs, survivors. We turn their strength into weakness." As night turned to dawn, the Draconian fleet was reeling. The Dominion's fist lost its main energy shield after a targeted power grid attack. Smaller cruisers were crippled or drifting. Communication between ships became unreliable, orders delayed or garbled. The aliens, for the first time in millennia, tasted uncertainty. But it wasn't only technology that made the difference. In the corridors of the Iron Talon, Sergeant Lewis faced a moment that tested everything humanity stood for. His team found a group of young Draconian cadets trapped in a cargo hold, confused and terrified. The soldiers paused, weapons ready, but Lewis made a choice. "We are not monsters," he said quietly. "Leave them alive. Show them what humanity is." They unlocked the doors and slipped away, leaving the cadets bewildered but unharmed. Elsewhere, the mutterings of dissent began to ripple through the Draconian ranks. Whispers of defeat, of distrust in Khazar's leadership grew louder. Officers questioned the wisdom of fighting an enemy who could strike from the shadows with such precision and cunning. "Perhaps the humans are not primitive," one muttered in a dimly lit mess hall. "Perhaps we underestimated them." Back on Earth, as the world watched the alien fleet falter in orbit, hope surged. The message was clear. Humanity was not just surviving. They were fighting back with all they had. Malik's voice echoed through command centers worldwide. "They called Earth primitive. They called us weak. But every strike we make tells a different story. This is our fight, and we will not yield." Yet in the silence of space, unseen and unknown to both humans and Draconians, the strange pulse from the crashed ship continued. A heartbeat beneath the wreckage, waiting to be awakened. The war had entered a new phase, one neither side could fully comprehend. The shattered cruiser lay half-submerged in the Mojave Desert, a dark monolith of alien technology twisted and broken. Despite the chaos around it, a faint pulse persisted deep within its damaged core, signal that neither humans nor Draconians yet understood. Dr. Elena Vargas stood before the massive, cracked hull, her hands trembling slightly as she monitored the faint rhythmic beat on her instruments. "It's not just a distress beacon," she whispered to her team. This is something else, something ancient." Her eyes darted to the alien glyphs etched along the ship's hull, symbols that defied translation. The patterns pulsed, faintly with the same rhythm as the signal. Back aboard the crippled Dominion's fist, Overlord Khazar's rage simmered into cold calculation. His fleet was battered, his pride wounded, but he refused to concede. "Dispatch scout teams," he ordered. "Find the source of that signal on the crashed vessel. Destroy it before it spreads." Yet even his trusted lieutenants were uneasy. "My lord," Zarkesh cautioned, "the signal is unlike any technology we know. It seems alive." Khazar's eyes narrowed. "Alive or not, it will not save these humans. We will crush their planet, their cities, their will. Meanwhile, deep within the desert base, Elena and her team worked feverishly. Using a blend of draconian technology and human ingenuity, they penetrated the ship's core systems, unveiling a hidden archive. Data logs, but centuries old. Elena murmured. This ship is a relic. Not just from their empire, but something older. Something forgotten. Suddenly the signal changed. A rising crescendo in the rhythmic beat, almost like a call. Her assistant gasped. It's a transmission. A message, or a warning. Thousands of miles above, scout ships descended to the crash site, weapons primed. But as they approached, their sensors faltered. Systems glitched. Targeting arrays failed. Inside the Dominion's eye, fist panic spread. Our ships are losing control near the crash, reported a junior officer. The signal disrupts our technology. Khazar's knuckles whitened as he slammed his fist. Then ground forces will do what machines cannot. Send the boarding parties. On the surface, humanity prepared for the inevitable clash. The elite squads that had struck from orbit now faced the daunting task of defending the crash site from a vastly superior alien force. General Malik's voice was calm, but fierce over comms. Hold the line. Protect the signal source at all costs. Lewis's team dug in around the crater, setting up electromagnetic barriers and deploying drones. Every moment counted. As Draconian troops landed in waves, Earth's defenders unleashed everything they had. Railguns firing tracer rounds into the sky, EMP grenades disabling alien armor, and hacking teams jamming communications. But the Draconians adapted quickly, deploying heavy assault walkers and plasma weapons that cut through defenses like knives. In the chaos, a new threat emerged. The ancient signal began to affect human technology as well. Systems flickered, drones malfunctioned, and electronic weapons faltered unpredictably. Elena's voice crackled urgently over comms. The signal, it's interfacing with our equipment, it's alive. We have to find a way to control it before it controls us. In the midst of battle, Lewis caught sight of movement near the ship's core. A faint glow emanated from the wreckage. Driven by instinct, he moved closer with a small squad. Inside the ship's cavernous heart, they discovered a chamber, untouched by damage, glowing with an eerie bioluminescence. At its center floated a crystalline entity, pulsing rhythmically, a living core of energy and light. It's sentient, Lewis breathed. This isn't just a ship, it's a living machine. Suddenly, the crystalline entity pulsed brighter, projecting visions into the minds of Lewis and his team. Vast star systems, ancient civilizations rising and falling, a warning of a cosmic predator that had destroyed worlds long before the Draconians ever rose. The message was clear. This was a relic meant to warn and protect. It had come to Earth seeking sanctuary, or perhaps to awaken something buried deep beneath the planet's surface. Back on the Dominion's fist, Khazar's frustration boiled over. They have found the core, he snarled. Destroy it and everything with it. But his lieutenants hesitated. The power emanating from the ship interfered with their weapons and sensors. The ancient technology was rewriting the rules of engagement. Khazar realized then that the war had become more than a battle of might. It was a clash of legacies, of histories buried beneath time. On Earth, General Malik's voice came through, steady despite the chaos. We hold here, we learn from this ancient power, it's our edge. Elena nodded, sweat beading her brow. If we can harness it, we might not just survive. We could turn the tide for good. As the sun set behind the Mojave Mountains, the battlefield was bathed in alien light. The ancient signal pulsed stronger, echoing through the war-torn skies. Both human and draconian forces paused, sensing something greater unfolding. A force older than their grudges, older than their weapons. The war for Earth was no longer just about survival. It was about awakening. The air hung heavy with anticipation and electric tension as the sun dipped below the jagged peaks of the Mojave Desert. The battlefield was eerily silent, the usual thunder of gunfire replaced by a strange, pulsating hum radiating from the crystalline entity nestled inside the alien ship's core chamber. Sergeant Lewis stood transfixed, his fingers brushing against the smooth surface of the glowing crystal. The visions it had shown him, ancient galaxies, fallen civilizations, and a cosmic predator that devoured worlds, lingered in his mind like a half-remembered dream. "General Malik," Lewis's comm link crackled. "We've found something. Not just a weapon, but a beacon." Malik's voice responded immediately, calm but charged with urgency. "Keep it secure. We're mobilizing scientists and specialists now. This could be the key to everything." Back on the Dominion's fist, Overlord Khazar's fury had transformed into icy calculation. His officers reported that their ship's systems were failing with increasing frequency, their weapons misfiring, and their tactical sensors scrambled. "That signal is no mere defense mechanism," growled Khazar. "It's a weapon, or worse, a sentient entity fighting for its survival." His eyes narrowed. "If we cannot destroy it, we must find a way to control it. I want boarding teams equipped with countermeasures ready to deploy immediately." Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Vargas and her team had set up a makeshift lab in the desert, working feverishly to interface with the crystalline entity. Their equipment hummed with borrowed alien power, circuits glowing under the influence of the signal's strange energy. "Elena, the entity is responding to our attempts to communicate," her assistant called out. "It's not hostile, it's waiting." Elena's heart pounded with hope and dread. "If it's waiting, then what are we waiting for? What is it trying to tell us?" Suddenly, the entity pulsed brighter, projecting a wave of images into the minds of all present. Scenes of an ancient civilization unfolded, a people who had harnessed the power of stars, who had faced annihilation by an incomprehensible enemy known only as the Devourer. This is a warning," Elena whispered. The entity was sent to warn, to protect, and to prepare for the inevitable. The Devourer. A name spoken only in myths, whispered in the darkest corners of galactic history. A predator so vast and merciless, it consumed entire solar systems, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. Earth was now caught in a cosmic web far larger than the Draconian War. This was not merely an invasion, it was a prelude to an extinction event. The news reached Khazar, who seethed with disbelief and fear. "The humans have awakened something beyond their understanding," he snarled. "If we cannot crush them, then we are all doomed." His officers urged caution, but the Overlord was relentless. "Prepare for evacuation if necessary, but first, crush the humans and seize that power for ourselves." On the ground, Lewis's squad prepared defenses around the crash site as waves of Draconian reinforcements approached. Yet something had changed. The ancient signal now flared with increasing intensity, its energy field expanding, creating a protective barrier that interfered with Draconian technology. "We can't break through," a Draconian commander growled as his plasma cannons fizzled uselessly against the shimmering shield. Lewis looked up, a grim smile on his face. "This is more than just a fight. It's a battle for survival." Inside the command center, Malik coordinated Earth's forces, integrating alien tech with human ingenuity. "We need to learn to use this energy," she told Elena. "Harness it to level the playing field." Elena nodded. "The entity is alive, intelligent, and it's choosing to fight with us. We must become its partners or perish." Suddenly, a tremor ran through the earth, a deep, resonating pulse that echoed through the desert. The crystalline entity's light flared wildly, casting long shadows. Beneath the surface, something ancient stirred. Deep underground, beneath the Mojave, a dormant power awoke. Massive structures, ancient and alien, glowed with renewed life, responding to the entity's call. A forgotten defense system, locked away for eons, began to hum as dormant machines powered up. Earth was no longer defenseless. The planet itself had a legacy, a weapon older and more powerful than the Draconians, older even than the entity that had arrived with the crashed cruiser. The skies above shimmered with strange auroras as energy cascaded from below. Earth was waking. Khazar watched helplessly as his fleet faltered further. "This war is beyond us," he muttered. But retreat was not an option. We fight to the last breath. Lewis looked to the horizon, the glowing entity at his back. Whatever comes next, he said, we face it together. Because Earth was no longer just a primitive planet. It was a fortress, a beacon, a last stand. The war for Earth had transformed into something greater, and the true battle was just beginning. The Mojave Desert was no longer just a battlefield. It had become a crucible where fate itself was forged. The ancient energy pulsing from beneath the earth radiated outward, shimmering like a living shield around the crashed Draconian cruiser. It bent light, distorted sensors, and crippled alien technology. Against it, the mighty Draconian fleet faltered. General Ava Malik stood in the mobile command center, eyes locked on the swirling auroras rippling across the desert sky. This power is unlike anything we've ever seen, she said, voice steady but charged. It's more than a weapon, it's a promise. We'll fight with everything we have. Sergeant Lewis and his squad fortified their position around the crystalline entity, the glowing heart of the alien ship that had become Earth's unlikely ally. The exosuits hummed quietly, synchronized to the new energy field flowing from the core. We hold this line, Lewis ordered. If this shield falls, so does humanity's last hope. Nearby, Dr. Elena Vargas worked furiously, interfacing with the entity's bioluminescent matrix. It's responding to our presence, she reported. I believe we're beginning to understand its language, its purpose. Suddenly the chamber pulsed with light, and a voice, unlike anything mechanical or human, resonated in their minds. The devourer approaches. Prepare, unite. Across the shattered Draconian fleet, panic began to ripple. Overlord Khazar's rage was tempered only by growing fear. His officers whispered about the living weapon on Earth and the ancient power awakening beneath the planet's surface. Send all forces, Khazar commanded, to overwhelm their defenses. Destroy that entity, or all is lost. Draconian. Warships surged forward, plasma cannons blazing. But as they neared the energy shield, their weapons failed spectacularly. Cannons short-circuited, missiles detonated prematurely, and shields buckled under a force they could not comprehend. On the ground, Lewis's squad fought with desperation and grit. Draconian assault walkers lumbered forward, but their energy weapons sputtered uselessly. Using this advantage, the humans launched counterattacks, railgun rounds piercing alien armor and hacking teams infiltrating enemy networks. It's like the planet itself fights with us, Lewis muttered. Elena nodded, sweat beading her brow. The entity is a guardian, an ancient sentinel designed to protect Earth from cosmic threats. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Mojave, enormous subterranean machines stirred to life. Gigantic stone and metal constructs, part technology, part living organism, rumbled and shifted. These colossal defenders, dormant for millennia, rose from their slumber. Their surfaces glowed with the same energy as the crystalline entity. Earth itself was awakening, harnessing the power of its forgotten past. In the chaos above, Malik received new intelligence. Draconian forces were planning a massive orbital bombardment, an all-out attempt to flatten Earth's defenses and crush the ancient power. We can't let them do this, she said grimly. If they destroy the entity or the subterranean defenses, it's over. Her command sent out urgent orders: intercept the orbital fleet, disrupt their firing solutions, and protect the core at all costs. Back on the Dominion's fist, Khazar's fury turned to desperation. His flagship was crippled by the planetary shield's interference, systems failing one by one. Yet he refused to retreat. Bring me their leaders, Khazar snarled. I will end this war myself. Boarding pods launched toward the surface, targeting Malik's command center. The final battle was coming. On Earth, the defenders steeled themselves. Malik coordinated a desperate defense, rallying soldiers, hackers, and scientists alike. Hold fast, she urged. We fight not just for survival, but for the future of our species, and for the fate of this planet. Lewis led a team to intercept the boarding pods, racing against time as the first pods landed in the rocky desert. The soldiers clashed, fiercely, their exosuits and adaptive weaponry turning the tide. At the crash site, the crystalline entity pulsed with blinding light. Elena's voice was steady but awe-filled. It's reaching out, calling the planet's defenses into full activation. Suddenly, seismic tremors rippled through the Earth. The colossal subterranean defenders emerged fully, stomping across the desert, their towering forms silhouetted against the setting sun. The ground shook beneath the draconian assault walkers, which faltered and collapsed as the ancient defenders advanced. Plasma fire met stone and metal titans, but the attackers were no match for Earth's awakened giants. As the tide turned, Overlord Khazar realized his defeat was inevitable. "This is not the war I expected," he muttered. "The humans, they have become more than primitive prey." His final command was a retreat order, but it was too late. The Draconian fleet broke apart under relentless assault, ships exploding or retreating in disorder. In the quiet aftermath, Malik and Lewis surveyed the battlefield beneath the glowing auroras. "We've won a reprieve," Malik said. "But the Devourer still looms." Elena smiled faintly. "We're no longer alone. The entity has chosen us to protect this world, this galaxy. Together we prepare." The war for Earth had shifted, from being hunted to becoming hunters, from being prey to becoming guardians. And the real battle, for the survival of all worlds, was only beginning. The sky over the Mojave Desert was ablaze with swirling auroras, the Earth's ancient power fully awakened and alive. The Draconian fleet had retreated, shattered and broken, their arrogance humbled by the force they had dismissed as primitive. But the victory was only the beginning. General Ava Malik stood at the edge of the desert, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the colossal guardians marched steadily into the night. The ground still trembled beneath their steps, a reminder of the planet's deep and forgotten might. "We bought time," she said quietly, voice carrying the weight of hard-won hope. "But the Devourer will come." Deep inside the alien cruiser's core chamber, Dr. Elena Vargas approached the crystalline entity. Its light pulsed gently as if sensing her presence. "You've chosen us," Elena whispered, awe mixing with determination, "to protect this planet, to stand against the darkness." The entity's light shimmered in response, projecting new visions, a star map of distant systems, signs of civilizations lost, and a glimpse of the Devourer itself. A titanic, shadowy, force-devouring stars and worlds alike. "It's a threat beyond war," Elena said to Lewis, who stood nearby. "A cosmic predator. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore, we're standing at the front lines of an interstellar battle for survival." Lewis clenched his fists, exosuit humming softly. "We've faced impossible odds before. We'll do it again." The soldiers and scientists around them exchanged determined glances. They were no longer just defenders. They were the first guardians of a new era. Far above orbiting Earth, the remnants of the Draconian fleet lingered in disarray. Overlord Khazar brooded in his command chamber, wounded pride and fear mingling in his dark eyes. "The humans have changed," he admitted reluctantly. "They are no longer prey. They are a force we must respect or fear." Yet even as he plotted retreat, Khazar's mind flickered to darker possibilities, alliances to forge, new weapons to seek, and the looming threat of the Devourer that none could ignore. Back on Earth, the global alliance of nations rallied around the newly awakened power. Research stations began tapping into the ancient technology buried beneath the surface, working alongside the crystalline entity. Dr. Vargas led efforts to build interfaces, ways to safely harness the entity's energy for defense and exploration. "This is the dawn of a new chapter," she said. "One where humanity will not only survive but thrive among the stars." General Malik addressed her forces in a broadcast that reached every corner of the globe. "Today, we have proven that strength lies not just in weapons or technology but in unity, resilience, and the courage to face the unknown." She looked out over the assembled soldiers, scientists, and citizens who had stood together against the alien invasion. "Earth is no longer primitive," she declared. "We are the guardians of our future, and we will stand ready for whatever comes next." In the stillness of the desert night, the crystalline entity pulsed softly, its light mingling with the glow of the ancient guardians as they returned to their resting places beneath the earth. A bond had been forged between humanity, the planet, and the mysterious power that had chosen them. The war had changed everything, yet in the depths of space, far beyond the edge of known systems, a shadow stirred. The devourer had been awakened, and the true test of humanity's newfound strength and their ancient allies was yet to come. As the first stars blinked into view over the desert horizon, humanity looked upward, united and unyielding. They were no longer the hunted. They were the hunters, guardians of a fragile world in an unforgiving cosmos, and this was only the beginning. The end.